What's up, guys? So I finally got myself a Tokyo Marui velocity reduction. I guess you could call it a flash hider. This is the small circular metal thing that you screw onto the end of your barrel, and this will decrease the velocity of your airsoft gun. I've tested it out a little bit, and I found that it can't really do it more than like maybe 50 FPS as far as reducing your velocity. So it could be really effective for a lot of people. Maybe not a whole lot of people who play where I play, because we need to get pretty low, but this is a good thing. A lot of people say that they don't work, and I'm going to show you that they do work. This is the little rubber membrane that goes inside of it, and this is what actually is responsible for slowing down your BB. As you can see, it has slits in it, and the way it works is this goes inside the metal tube, and it comes with rings that are different thicknesses, and these different thicknesses allow you to shim so that it determines how far in you screw it together. So the further you screw it together, the more the membrane opens, and obviously the more the membrane opens, the less resistance there is on the BB. Theoretically, the way this is supposed to work is that as the BB is traveling down the barrel, the air pressure that's created in front of the BB is supposed to actually force this open before the BB gets to it, rather than, you know, what you may think is that it's slowed down because the BB is rubbing up against it and it's friction that's slowing it down. So theoretically it's supposed to be the air pressure, and that this should be open before the BB even gets to it. I don't really know. I don't really have a way to test that, but it sounds good. And it seems like that's probably the way it's doing it, because this really does not affect accuracy all that much. My gun is still just as accurate as it was before. So let me see if I can show you how this goes in there. This membrane goes inside the velocity reducing unit so that there's a space on the opposite end of the side that screws onto your barrel. So it just gets pushed in there like that. And then this side screws into it counterclockwise. And then, as you can see there, the further I screw it in, the more the membrane starts to open, wider and wider and wider. And so those shims are just supposed to stop you at predetermined points that Tokyo Marui has decided are good points to stop for velocity reduction. I would just use this, you know, all the way out here. I may not even use any shims, or I might just put all the shims in there, I don't know. But I'm going to chronograph it. I'm going to use ICS 0.2 gram BBs, because even though I don't really use those for games, I think more people will have a reference point. And I'm going to use my Mad Bull chronograph to test the velocity. I'll probably do about 5 or 6 shots with each ring in, and, you know, get an average of each. So first I'll show you guys what gun I'm going to be using to test this with. This is my KWA MP7, and I've taken out the low power bolt and put the regular stock bolt in it because the MP7 shoots really, really hot. I'm testing it with this gun because it shoots really hot, and it's really the only gun that I would really need any kind of additional velocity reduction for. All my other guns, I have them shooting around 280 feet per second. This one, still every once in a while, like if it's a warm day, will spike, you know, up to, you know, 360, 380 with the low power bolt. So I'll show you guys how fast it shoots stock. Let me zoom in on my chronograph. And this is the KWA MP7 with 0.2 gram BBs. So that's the stock bolt. 400 feet per second with the stock bolt and 0.2 gram BBs. Check it out again. 409. 409. 396. Alright, so you can see it shoots around 400 feet per second, which is obviously way too hot for really close quarters CQB. So now I'm going to put the velocity reducer on it and see what I can get out of it. So here is the velocity reducer with the yellow ring on it, and the yellow ring is the least reduction possible. That means, well, of course, except for just having it closed all the way. But the yellow ring is going to be the least reduction because it's screwed in the furthest. As you get further and further away, then the membrane starts to close, etc., etc. So let's see what kind of reduction we get here. $396, $387, okay. $344. Now that's a big jump, and that could just be because I'm using a gas gun. $393. Okay. Alright, so now here is the red ring. This is the next step up. This should be a little bit more reduction than the yellow ring. This is the light blue ring. This is the next step up from the red ring, so hopefully we should get a few more FPS decrease. And this is 3 of 4. There's only one more after this. Alright, well, that was pretty weird. Should have reduced it quite a bit. I'm assuming that since it's a pretty warm day, I might not get great results from this gun because it's a gas gun. But we did get one that went down pretty far there, and I'm going to take that as a more accurate representation of what this ring is supposed to do and what it probably would do if I was using an AEG. This is the white ring. And this is going to be the most reduction possible with the membrane oriented the correct way. Because if you screw it out any further than this, it doesn't affect the membrane anymore because the arms aren't pushing on it anymore. So, pretty all over the place results, and I'm going to blame that on it being a gas gun, but I'll show you what I do to really reduce the velocity in a minute. So, obviously, this velocity reducer is not all that reliable for gas guns, especially if you're shooting fast. It's really only recommended for use for semi-auto fire only. But I found that when I turned around the rubber membrane, because as you can see on this side it's indented from however many years of use the previous owner gave it. If you turn it around and put it in backwards, since the membrane is facing the other way, it puts more stress on the BB and probably builds up more back pressure as you're firing, and this should reduce the velocity a lot. I tried it once and I lost about 50 FPS versus what I just showed you right now. Everything was pretty much the same. So this is the velocity reducer with the membrane turned around so it's installed backwards to put a little bit of extra stress on the BB as it exits the barrel. And let's see how much of a velocity drop we get. So, as you can see, that was actually really effective. Using it the correct way, I barely got any drop at all. It stayed around 390, and now, as you can see, I put the membrane in backwards, no rings in, it's screwed in all the way. Because it doesn't matter, the arms won't touch it anyway. So I just turned the membrane around, and I lost, around 50 feet per second in velocity. Now, I don't really know if this would work for a brand new unit. because this is obviously a used unit. I got this on eBay, and someone else had it before me, and they used it for however many years. So the membrane has been pushed in the other direction for a long time. So I would imagine that it puts all this extra stress on it because it's trying to force it in the opposite direction that it's been trained for however many years. But it's worth a try. One thing that I actually forgot to mention about this that I really like is that on the end of the velocity reducer is a screw-off section that will reveal 14mm counterclockwise threads, so that you can put whatever flash hider you want on top of this, and this will still be behind it to reduce your velocity. So I'm really looking forward to using this in games so that I can still use my tracer unit on it, and that'll be a lot of fun. Now, just for the hell of it, I'm going to fire this with 0.25 gram BBs, just to see if maybe it would be possible for me to use the KWA, the stock KWA MP7 bolt in this gun and use it where I play. My target FPS is 300 or less with 0.25 gram BBs. So, not quite. I won't be able to use the stock bolt in this at TAA, but in conjunction with the low power bolt, the Tokyo Marui velocity reducer should make it no problem for me to use this gun, because sometimes when I go in there, it can be really warm, and even though I have the low power bolt, and sometimes I use duster gas to try and get my velocity down, it still shoots too hot to use there. So using the low power bolt and the velocity reducer, I should have no problem using this gun.